horizontal. We control the vertical. Peer into the infrared.
And fans, this is Tales from the Infrared. Join us as we dive into fandom and explore comics, gaming, sci-fi, and fantasy, all from a red pill perspective. Hold on to your phasers, it's time for a nerdgasm! Featuring Rachel Edwards, Jim Kelvarn, James Huff, Dean Esme, and Christian Schiesson.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Tales from the Infrared. I am your host, Christian Schiesson, and of course joining me as always is the fat neckbeard bastard MRA shitlord himself, Dean Esme. How's it going, Dean?
I need a shower.
Yes, you do. You always need a shower.
Fine. This is true.
We can smell from here.
I take one once a month, whether I need it or not.
And that little voice that you just heard was, of course, our resident honey badger, Rachel Edwards. How's it going, Rachel?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Feeling good in the neighborhood.
And that awkward, nerdy laugh that you heard was actually Jim Kelvarn. How's it going, Jim?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing there, Christian?
I am tired. I need another coffee. Oh, I already had 3. Anyways. And the one staying silent for some reason, which is kind of a change for him, Nephinor of Thrall. How's it going, Nephinor?
The Force, motherfucker! Do you use it?
You had to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he had to do it. Oh, God damn it.
And running the back room and making sure everything runs smoothly is, of course, James Huff. How's it going, James?
Going just fine, guys.
Awesome. So who is going to kick us off and read us through our topics?
Not it.
Not it.
God damn it.
Well, Nephinor didn't say it. You could have still said...
Not it.
It's right down to the wire. I think Rachel lost it.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn. Okay.
Mine is the probe that will pierce your anus.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Yeah, not like Rachel wouldn't enjoy it, but...
Oh, jeez. Okay. GamerGate target Zoe Quinn launches anti-harassment support network. Literally Who starts an anti-harassment network called Crash Override. Watch the movie Hackers Too Many Times, Miss Quinn, eh? With fellow game developer Alex Lifshitz. Oh, shit. This supposed network provides advice, resources, and support from survivors with personal experience to those facing harassment. The network, which officially launched Friday, also offers access to, quote, experts in information security, white hat hacking, PR, law enforcement, legal, threat monitoring, and counseling, unquote. This is all the more funny, as this is exactly what Quinn does. Also, sorry media, Crash Override Network is not an anti-harassment campaign. Georgina Young has a different opinion on ZQ and her anti-harassment network, and this isn't particular news to anyone that has followed Gamergate. However, Miss Young has astutely pointed out that it's rather amusing that a noted harasser is starting something to combat the very thing she is known for. Welcome to the hypocrisy of the social justice warrior. All is fair, so long as they get paid. Over 3,000 signed petition to revoke Adam Baldwin's invite to Supernova over Gamergate. For many, Adam Baldwin is Jane from Firefly, which is why he's been invited to Supernova Fan Expo in Australia, knitted hat and all. However, a number of those who object to his support for the Gamergate controversy are trying to get him uninvited with a petition. And another petition was created that had about the same number to keep Baldwin invited. It's amazing how people are calling for Baldwin to not go to a con just because they don't like his opinion on something. Yet these same people will be the first in line to defend the literally who's. Marvel's latest movie Marvel's latest movie hero, Ant-Man, abused his wife. I know we brought this up in a previous episode, but due to the new trailer for the Ant-Man movie, it's a good opportunity to point out how jumping to conclusion without information leads to looking foolish. Also, and finally, Agent Carter's feminism is more about making money than gender equality. These are the author's words. Tuesday evening, one thing was blowing up my entire Twitter feed. Agent Carter. It enchanted all my friends and critics I respected, and was hailed as a feminist revolution for the Marvel world. People were asking me explicitly to review it. I had to watch it. The show itself, not bad. Very smart, actually. It combines the current vogue for female empowerment via pseudo-historical fiction Outlander, Game of Thrones, Mad Men, with a smart customer retention strategy, filling the consumer demand for a female-driven Marvel project with a built-in audience from a hot property, Captain America. It also manages to comport itself in a manner that is not obviously a cash grab, and to address, not to say pander to, feminist concerns. And yet something nagged at me throughout the time I watched it, a sense that the show's decent treatment of gender issues is a less earnest statement of the showrunner's personal values than a canny PR move on behalf of pop culture juggernaut Disney, owner of Marvel and increasingly just about everything else in the US and global media landscape these days. All this, Black Mirror, Gotham, Walking Dead, and many surprise topics. Oh, gosh.
Right. I'm going to call it right here because, as far as I'm concerned, this is just another attempt for Zoe Quinn to play a bigger victim card in the harassment Olympics on Twitter. So let's just go ahead and get the Zoe Quinn and the Crash Override Network topic out of the way. Let's talk about that.
I'm a bigger victim!
Oh, jeez. Well, yeah, give money to Nefenor's Patreon. He's a bigger victim.
My Patreon. I'm a bigger victim. I'm a victim
Literally.
because I don't get enough money. At least I'm honest.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I've been following Gamergate for a while, and from what I've been hearing lately, Crash Override does not sound like an actual anti-harassment network. It sounds more like a bunch of people who are going out and harassing people.
It sounds like a doxing network.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
Experts in information security, white hat hacking.
Yeah,
PR
right there.
law
That's the
enforcement
key
legal.
thing. They said white hat hacking, which in other words means they're hacking, and they admit it.
Yeah, it sounds like they're a doxing network and nothing more.
Yeah,
Go
Zoe Quinn's
figure.
background.
A doxing network opens up and goes silent right after Lizzie gets doxed. However, we already know who it is now.
We're not going to talk about that though, as per Lizzie's
Yep.
request. So moving on, Crash Override Network.
Yeah,
those
the
guys
thing
are
about Zoe Quinn is she's got a long history
Zoe Quinn. Oh, God,
of starting shit, of doxing, harassing, that sort of thing. I mean, she's been involved in that stuff in her past. It's it's there if you look deep enough into the something awful forums. She was totally involved with a lot of that stuff. It's just ridiculous.
I am stunned, and I'm going to say very little, but I'm not going to stay completely silent on what was done to Lizzie F. That is just not acceptable, and I predict we'll be hearing more about that. But that's just another Gamergator who's been doxxed and genuinely harassed, which a number of other Gamergators have been. It's stunning to me. ABC News here in the U.S. recently did a piece on GamerGate, repeating the standard narrative we've heard all along, that it's all about harassing women, and its primary features are Zoe fucking Quinn, the known doxer and harasser, and Anita Sarkeesian, a con artist and fraud. And no, it wasn't Zoe. Oh, it was Lily Who. Sorry, I get confused. The crazy women being the same.
At this point, they all seem the same. They're all trying to win the Oppression Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. This is just madness. The press is following along with these people like anything. And by the way, breaking news. Forbes has just released a story showing how much money Anita Sarkeesian made, and her boy toy Jonathan McIntosh. Just in 2014, those two racked up almost $500,000 for doing
wait,
what?
Did you say breaking news?
Jim,
And here, I know. I need to shoot him. I thought we were going to get away without hearing the breaking news.
Actually,
Craig.
I'm glad to hear it, because it cuts our Crash Override topic and our Zoe Quinn topic short, because I am so fucking sick of talking about that shit. Let's just leave it
How
at...
sick do you have to be before, talking about Anita Sarkeesian starts to seem like a more attractive topic?
Pretty goddamn fucking
God,
sick.
that's pretty damn fucking ugly.
Oh yeah.
This professional con artist, and I'm going to call her that, and I'm going to keep calling her that. She's professional con artist, this professional damsel in distress, who the press will not question for anything, who the press gullibly accepts everything they say, she says, as if it's just the gospel truth, even when we have documentation that she's lying. Yeah, I've been yelling at you guys and everybody. I mean, not seriously in an angry way, but saying, stop talking about how she made $140,000 on a Kickstarter, guys. We know she's made a lot more than that. Well, now we have the proof. Just in when did she do her Kickstarter? 2012.
Yes.
Sarkeesian made her 140,000 bones in
150,600 and something
in 2012.
And that was
we don't know what she
just
made in
from
2000.
that. We don't know about other sources.
That's right, and we don't know what she made in 2013, but we do know that in 2014 it was damn near $500,000, and that's just what's being reported to the IRS for her little so-called nonprofit educational group. This is insane, because all she doesn't even do what she promised to do in her goddamn Kickstarter. Well, I guess she made the minimum requirements, but you made 2 videos, was it? 3 or 4 total? She runs around collecting massive speaker fees for audiences who just cheer everything she says, and that's what she does.
Well, Dan, I got to remind you of something. We're supposed to listen and believe women, remember?
Yeah. Well, apparently that is a very profitable thing for the women involved. Rachel, you have made a huge, stunning mistake, and I'm just going to give you, just in terms of pure business, Rachel, I got to tell you, if you want to make money, you need to turn around and just start claiming that MRAs have been harassing you and threatening you and tried to rape you. And that's the only reason you ever did any Honey Badger Radio or this radio show. Because, dude, you could make a fortune.
Oh my gosh, Nefinor's been probing me for months now.
Yeah, but the difference is
saying.
that can't be harassment.
Yeah, it's not. You can't rape the willing.
He just said on the air that she was asking for it.
I just said you can't rape the willing. What's your point?
And all those anal jokes. I mean, all that sexual harassment.
I know, right? Shit.
That's okay. Her ass has been stare raping me.
But actually, I wanted to add though. I don't think that it's just. I think it's beyond that at this point. Beyond gullibility. I think that there are definitely people who know in the news what they're doing, and what narrative is being pushed. Because let's not even beat around the bush. These people have friends in high places. They have friends in tech. So all they need is a friend in tech who or somebody who reports on tech or game or anything, any kind of news media. to these mainstream publications, these mainstream, media sources. And that's really who's pushing these people forward. I mean, all it took was one friend at Recode to get Brianna Wu on MSNBC and all of these different news organizations. That's all it took for her to get all of these interviews suddenly. Somebody who's only made one game, who's basically a nobody. And all it took was like...
hasn't even filled her promise of porting that game to actual computers.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it's... Everybody I've talked to who's actually played it says it's shit. It looks like shit, it's just... There's nothing redeemable about it.
Which is why the reviews are so funny. But
the thing about it is that we know that that Anita's into Intel was also somebody who works for Intel, who is a fan of the Feminist Frequency series. I mean, it's ridiculous at this point. Their network of friends is out. It's insane. I don't even know how to put this into words. It's crazy.
I do. As a former pickup artist, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's networking. It's
earrings.
Offering somebody something that they can utilize. It's it's increasing the social proof, increasing the social currency that they have. You got to remember, the feminists have been creating this narrative of women as victims for so long. It's become profitable, and you can see this based upon what's been happening, how much she's made, almost $500,000 in a year, just pretending to be a victim. And we have several sources that prove that it's pretend. And I want to go into the accounting side of this in a moment, but yes, it's become profitable to become a victim. It's social proof. It's social currency to be a victim now. And, as a pickup artist, I can also sit there and say, okay, she's not that good looking. She's not that great. She's got lousy ideas. She's very unintelligent when it comes to her ideas. I think she's very intelligent when it comes to conning people. Totally different thing. But she has become the face of victims. She has become the face of women in video games. And it's kind of been shown lately, and I've been seeing a lot of people looking into this, that, guys in video games who are often the most marginalized of men, because we are cast aside. We have no value to society, so we go into video games to find some value. And she's a pretty face. These guys are going to sit there and white knight the hell out of things for her. Okay, on to the accounting side of things. If you look at the numbers on the Forbes article, she sits there and she's breaking down expenditures, $31,000 for programs. Okay, I fail to see that, because even high-end expensive programs don't cost more than, say, $1,000, and those are rare. Those are the uber elite, the top-end programs. So you're saying she's paid for almost 32 top-end programs? I highly doubt that, because there aren't that many when it comes to what she's doing. Most of the programs she would be buying are probably $60 to $100. And, there's really only about a dozen or so programs that could come anywhere near the price she'd pay for a single program. That $31,915 for programs is bullshit. I can already tell you that. Then there's administrative. Okay, $32,000. She also this is the expenditures, $64,200 total. Her total revenue is $441,930. Where is this nonprofit? She is not a nonprofit if there is that much of a difference between what she raked in and what she spent. She needs her nonprofit revoked. She needs to be prosecuted for fraud. Okay, and her proposed budget for next year with $260,000 for programs and $40,000 for fundraising. No, she's not a nonprofit. She literally is a con artist. It's very easy to see just based upon this. Doesn't take much.
I agree. I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to say, being somebody in the creative field or who got their degree in this, I have an idea. I mean, I know how much you spend on programs. And here's the thing, though. This is a one-time cost, okay? You spend a couple $1,000 on certain programs or certain program packs, and that's going to last you. You don't have to constantly update the software. That's insanity. You don't do that because there are certain things like hotkeys that you learn so you can work quickly and work more efficiently. So the idea that you're just going to update it every year is completely ridiculous. A lot of people actually just stay with one particular version of Creative Suite or something like that just because they work faster in that program, and they'll do that for years and years until they're forced to update. So it's completely ridiculous.
Well, even then, most programs, Adobe, whatever, even Creative Suite, they will give you a break on an upgrade to the newest version that doesn't cost the same as the original. It probably costs another $100. I mean, seriously, this is what I'm talking about. I've been a computer geek for most of my life, and this is what I was talking about, in that this is total bullshit in the cost in her programs. This is called creative accounting. That's all it is creative accounting, pulling bullshit numbers out of the air to justify the fact that she's probably been in Tahiti twice. Neff, go.
Okay, I'm just trying to look this up here, but considering the fact that she's probably a hipster, and I hate to admit it, she's probably using Final Cut Pro, which means Mac. That software alone is, I'm just trying to see the amount, $350. So that's the video software. The sound software, if she's getting that, Logic Pro, which is really only necessary if you're doing like music production, is $300. So even going with some of the top end shit, she's still not even coming close. Not only that, she can't claim, well, I had to buy all those games, because so far we've only got proof that she actually played one game, that being Hitman Absolution, to make the fake footage of dragging a prostitute around, which obviously is a sick fantasy of hers. The whole thing is a load of bullshit. She steals Let's Play footage. She pays herself. That's what this really is. It's just her paying herself. And if she made $400,000 last year and claims to have only spent, $60,000? That is a load of bullshit.
In terms of the software, you can pay for the entire suite of Adobe products, which are, the industry standard more or less for all this kind of work, for $29.99 a month. If you got that, so that's $350 a year. If you got that suite for 3 or 4 people, if you got it for 10 people, you still couldn't add up to that much. So add in some equipment. No. I mean, what she's spending it on is hard to believe, but I'm sure they find a way. The only thing I can say and hope for is that I happen to know that nonprofits have about a 10 times higher rate of being audited than for-profits do. And I hope she gets audited, but because this is nuts. This is just nuts, but I don't even have hopes there. She'd probably claim harassment there.
She'll always claim harassment.
No lie. And here's the really funny thing, too. I'm pretty sure, there's no question, her claims of harassment have almost certainly actually led to people being hurt in some way or another by creating this phony false threat narrative climate
hat tip to Allison Teeman there. The threat narrative climate that she's helped create, people who have the wrong opinions are assumed to be rapey and murderous and dangerous, and get hurt thereby. I guess somebody else say something, because this topic just offends me.
Hey, guys, give money to Dean's Patreon if he has one.
Yeah.
I need to get one, no lie.
He's offended. Give him.
I have
give him money.
PTSD. I have PTSD from Anita Sarkeesian.
I should be like, oh my gosh, people disagree with me on Twitter.
Just want to point something out quickly, though. I want to sneak in. There was the person who did have physical threats against Thunderfoot for his criticism of Anita.
Yeah, there was that guy.
Hannibal the Victor, a crazed nut job. Oh, I've just given him some press, though. I mean, I've had to block him on Twitter. He has made numerous stalky, weird, fucked up videos about Paul Elam, about a number of men's rights activists. He's upping the ante and going after the people like Thunderfoot because we've been ignoring him for 2 years, and he's going after girl rights big time. He went after. Now he's trying to get attention from Sargon of Akkad and Thunderfoot. And I will say to those fine gentlemen, Sargon of Akkad and Thunderfoot, because as we all know, they listen to our show religiously. I would advise those two. No, they don't. I would advise those two to not keep responding to that guy because he's crazed psycho and he just makes shit up in his own head. But yeah, anyway, yes, he has been threatening people late, which doesn't surprise me. He's nuts. We've known him for a few years here.
Well, I had to actually watch that Thunderfoot video twice because it was that good. I mean, he literally tore him apart in just a few minutes, but went on for 20 or so and just made it all the more laughable. The problem I'm seeing here with Anita, though, is, no one's questioning her. No one's willing to question her, and it's all because people are afraid of being called misogynist. And
well, no, here's the problem, Jim. It's not that nobody is questioning her. A lot of people are questioning her. It's just the people who are questioning her are being ignored and silenced by the mainstream media. As far as the mainstream media is concerned, none of Thunderfoot's videos about Anita exist. None of the videos that investigative journalism has done exist. But there are plenty of people questioning her, people criticizing her.
Yeah, did you see the video? Did you see the video comments that got deleted? There was a whole bunch of them that got just deleted from the Nightline. I think it was like the ABC Nightline interview with Anita Sarkeesian, and they did a bunch of downvotes as well, saying like they heavily disliked it a great deal, and it got really ridiculous. They censored it a great deal. It was ridiculous. But yeah,
and this surprises you?
No, it doesn't surprise me. It's just that's the situation. It's not that people aren't questioning her. It's that those people are being silenced. They don't want to let these people speak.
Well, yeah, okay, fair enough. The mainstream doesn't want to let these people speak, but it just goes to show that if you have to silence somebody, if you have to silence a dissenting opinion, maybe your opinion isn't all that good. I mean, that's one thing that I've seen over the years. The people who actually are willing to put their ideas up and stand up and say, hey, this is what I believe, they're generally the ones who are more credible because they often have research and things to back up what they're saying. And it's kind of what's led me to see that Sarkeesian doesn't really want to change things. What she wants is her opinion to be law. Her opinion to be the only, oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? The is and always will be. This is it. This is the only way to look at things.
It's gospel.
Yeah, it's gospel. I mean, literally, that's about the best way to put it. Is it's gospel. She says it, therefore it's the truth.
And just a quick interjection here with the ABC Nightline thing. Even though they have been deleting comments, they still have not closed down the rating, and currently the video has a 3.5% approval rating. Think about that. Only 3.5% of people actually like it. Everyone else in the freaking world says it's trash. That alone...
Yeah, but don't you know, the majority of people agree with the SJWs, and we're the minority.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I think the proof is in the approval ratings. Most people are looking at it and saying, okay, this is a bunch of horseshit.
No, that's not nice. Horseshit at least can be useful.
Fair enough. I mean, you can use it to fertilize and make decent things grow. This is toxic waste.
And
Yes,
speaking of horseshit,
on the nuclear reactor.
Speaking of horseshit, let's move on to the Adam Baldwin topic. 3,000 people, more than 3,000 people, signed a petition to revoke Adam Baldwin's invite to Supernova because of his support for GamerGate. Ain't that some horseshit?
Yep.
I have a question. How many of those 3,000 people actually bought tickets?
Exactly. I signed the counter protest petition.
I don't know. I don't know how many people actually bought tickets to go to Supernova, but I still think it's fucking horseshit that more than 3,000 people don't want Jane Cobb to be at a con.
Yeah, well, go ahead,
That's a
Dean.
Comic-Con. That's a Comic-Con, isn't it? Or is it just a general science fiction convention?
These
I'm
days,
not
it's
sure.
usually both anyway.
It's Australia. I mean, it's... what do you expect?
Oh,
Yeah, they're
right.
all upside down there.
Yeah, no,
I
I mean...
think they've renamed it the Supernova Pop Culture Expo. I think that's what they've done. But in any case, it's I can't. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Well, he's Adam Baldwin. He's this is going to show my age. He's Albert Whitebread Chicken Shit Hockenberry from DC Cab. He's been in Independence Day. He's been in Chuck. I forgot the name of his new show that he's doing. I got to check that one out.
The Last Ship. And he is also Superman in Superman Doomsday.
Yes. I mean, this man
Marcus
is...
Hamilton, an angel.
Yeah. I mean, he has been in so much. For lack of a better way of putting it, I would say he's probably one of the icons in pop culture and science fiction fantasy. I would put him up there with Claudia Black and a few others.
Oh, Claudia.
Oh, yeah, okay. And a few others. But, he's actually done something, and he's brought things to the industry. He is an icon, and not wanting him there because you disagree with his opinion. I mean, first off, I'm all for holding people accountable for their actions. I'm fully support that. However, I see the double standard here in that these people are trying to hold him accountable for actions they don't like, but these are the same people who are going to jump to defend someone like Anita Sarkeesian or the rest of the literally who's of GamerGate.
I knew you would find some way to bring her back up.
Yes. I have a hard-on for her. What can I say?
Well, it's kind of easy to bring her up. She's always bringing herself up.
I tell you, my view of Adam Baldwin is that here I'm going to go out of my way to piss some people off, and I don't care because she's pissed me off a couple of times now. Adam Baldwin is obviously 10 times more important to geekdom in general than fucking glorified booth babe Felicia Day, who is apparently everybody's favorite nerd girl, even though she's obviously a fake and a poser. And also, by the way, has been jumping on the professional victim bandwagon, which pretty much obliterates all her gamer girl, geek girl cred in my eyes. What a fraud.
Well,
what's she done? She done the Guild, which was fun and funny, although I won't watch it anymore because she turns out to be a booth babe asshole scammer, pretending to be under constant threat and whatnot. She's been doing it for a couple of years, but she's been really shameless the last couple of months. And, she was popular on Buffy the Vampire Slayer like 500 years ago. That's it. Yet everybody loves her. And you just said it. Adam Baldwin, he's more than Jane from Firefly. He's been in Chuck. He was in Independence Day. He's been in all kinds of stuff. Everybody likes his stuff. Even if you don't like him personally, he's a great character actor. He's almost like a fixture. You know he's always working and always doing something. How dare you just try and throw him out because you don't like his political views? What the fuck?
Well, I've actually talked to him. I actually had a good 15-minute conversation with him at a Kings game once. Suck it, Christian. And he thinks, okay, it's out there. And it's time to for him to start stepping away from Gamergate. The problem with it is I think he didn't realize that it's not over. I hear a lot of people saying in Gamergate, we've won. No, we haven't won. We've won maybe a small battle that they're willing to concede in order to continue to fight the war. The war isn't over. These social justice warriors are still out there, still saying that they're right and everybody else is wrong, and they're still attacking gamers. This is not over. Gamergate is not over. Gamergate, I think, needs to evolve into defending gamers from all these attacks that have been coming constantly since like the 1990s with what's his face, Jack Thompson. Literally, we need to stop saying, okay, we've won. We haven't won. It's a battle. It's not the war. I mean, sadly, as former military, I can tell you, sometimes you lose a battle to defeat your enemy.
All right. I'm going to disagree with you here, Jim. I think the truth is we actually have won. The difference is, though, we're looking at it in a different perspective. We have won the battle against social justice warriors. They now are not welcome in geek culture overall, at least in the gaming culture. The gamers know this. The developers know this. Everybody that actually is involved with video game production knows this. We don't want them. They aren't wanted. They aren't a part of the culture, and they're not actually in it anymore. In that respect, Gamergate has won. The continuing battle with the media, yeah, that's not over anytime soon. But the actual battle over video games has pretty much been won. At this point, the people who make the games know it. The only people that aren't admitting it are the social justice warriors and the media itself. So they're inconsequential because the people who actually buy the games are still buying them.
Yeah, but I disagree with them being inconsequential, Nephenor, because they are more relevant in the larger culture.
Yes, but the larger culture doesn't care about games. Only gamers do.
I understand that. But at the same time, we also have to look at the larger culture issue. It's, yes, we won the little battle here, the little skirmish, but as far as the long term and the actuality of what's really going on in society, and I hate to parrot anything feminist, but it is literally all connected in some way. This needs to grow and start pushing these social justice warriors back and away from the things that people like. Because, I mean, you have evidence that social justice warrior thought is totally against anything straight white male, and even sexist, misogynistic, misandric, and racist.
And that's what's killing them.
Regardless of whether it's killing them, I mean, I still see it growing in some spaces in other parts of geek culture, and this is part of it. I mean, it's a small part. Gamergate is a small part of it, but I think it's an important part that needs to grow into the larger portion of the culture. So, go for it, Rachel.
Yeah, well, the thing about this is what it's eventually going to get to, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people are trying to avoid, but the problem is going to be the mainstream media. Everyone's going to say, okay, we'll just ignore mainstream media. Well, it's been there for years. It's not going to easily go away, even if people stop putting as much focus on television news, and it still has a presence online. It's still there. We're not gonna see it go away. That's where most people go for their news, and they are giving misinformation, especially about things that are happening online. I mean, what happens online is usually there'll be somebody who'll have their version of the story, and there'll be another one, and the one they'll go with is the one that fits their narrative. And that's not something that we're going to avoid anytime soon. It's not something that we can avoid. Eventually, it's going to be us against the current media. And it's a war that's going to have to be fought. It's not something that we can avoid. Right now, we're seeing this as a small thing. We're seeing it playing out in geek culture. And most people are like, okay, yeah, whatever. It's unavoidable.
I that's kind of what I'm saying, is it is unavoidable. Eventually, it needs to evolve into the wider culture.
Well, that's the thing. I agree. It will, and it will do that. But the thing is, the battle for gaming is already won, and that means GamerGate has won.
For now,
yes,
they're still able to ban video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, but there's always sources. That's the thing. Look at what they banned. They banned one game from one company in Australia, and the best part is they banned it several months after it had been released, so it was kind of useless.
And as it's been said, though, right now, feminism is wounded, and like a wounded animal, it's most dangerous now. Right now, they're going to make a move. I don't know what that's going to be.
Well,
it'll probably be stupid.
I want to point out something from history. My father's a huge history buff, so I've kind of learned a few things from him. In fact, he's a huge World War II buff. And the Battle of the Bulge in 1943, I think it was, when the Allied forces were pushing back the German forces. And the reason why it's called the Battle of the Bulge is several points, or 2 points were coming in, and the German forces were kind of trapped. And they almost tore the Allied forces a new one at the Battle of the Bulge because they had nowhere to run. We need to give these feminists a place to run so that we don't have another Battle of the Bulge that ends up going in a different direction. We need to let them retreat, and we need to eventually just keep them contained in their own portion of the internet that nobody really looks at. That's my thought.
There's also another battle that you can look at from World War II that could be, shall we say, what we're looking at, and that is the Battle of Vimy Ridge, which was Germans were at the top of a hill with machine guns and pretty much kicking everybody's ass. You know, the British tried going up their way, didn't work. Americans tried going up their way, didn't work. It took a bunch of crazy Canucks going up a completely weird way on the backs of motorcycles to take the ridge. And that's kind of what's going on. It's gamers are taking the really weird attacks, the really weird styles, and we're winning.
Okay, I want to make a quick clarification. Battle of the Bulge was 1944. Thank you, Usagi, for correcting me. Dean, you had something?
I just gotta say I'm not sure I agree because I don't. This is so weird because I used to go out of my way to defend nice feminists, and I just can't make myself do it anymore. I don't think this battle can be won. And mind you, feminists are not the only problems in the world. They're not the only bigots in the world. They're not the ultimate root cause of a lot of issues men and boys face. But they're a serious problem, and I am not going to rest until saying the word feminist gives you the same reaction to the general public as saying the word racist or the word fascist. I don't want them to have anywhere to go any more than well, sure, somewhere to go, yeah, like where the Klan went and where the neo-Nazis and the skinheads went. It needs to be slung at people like an epithet because it's a goddamn hate movement and a censorship-oriented, totalitarian, fascist mentality. I don't care how many nice women out there or nice people are out there who are defending it and saying it's just about equality. You know, Stalin claimed to be about equality too. Fuck them. They're evil, and they need to be ashamed of themselves. They need to find a new word if they believe in equality, because they will censor the arts. They will censor the news media. They will try to destroy anybody who questions their narrative. No, I have no mercy on them. They're just totally fucking evil. And I think the only fix is sunlight. Challenge them wherever they go, so that they go bug fuck insane and decide to go underground like the KKK did. I don't think there's any other way of handling it. That's just my take on it.
Hey, Dean.
Yep.
Tell us how you really feel.
I've had enough, man. I've had enough. I try and be Mr. Delicate and nice and be patient, but
he's not
I'm
gonna
sorry.
take it.
Yep.
No, he ain't gonna
If you're
take
if you're calling yourself a feminist still, given everything we know, you are no better than a fascist. You are no better than a racist. Fuck you.
Well, here's the thing. I used to call myself a feminist at one point.
Me too. I grew out of it. Sorry, go ahead.
And then I started learning about the movement. Just like I think Dean learned about the movement. I think everybody here learned about the movement to a certain extent. And we started seeing the hypocrisy and the lies that pretty much changed our opinion. I think that's something people need to understand, is that we've looked into this. We've looked into the actions of these people and what they do, and we've realized that they're lying to people. They're lying to each other. They're lying to themselves. I think we need to point that out and just say, hey, if you have any questions as to what we're saying, Google the Agent Orange files. Google Warren Farrell talk Toronto. Google Janice Fiamengo talk Ottawa, and look at what
Google
modern
Big Red.
day. Google Big Red, and look at what modern feminism has been doing. And at that point, if you still call yourself a feminist and you say that this is correct, these are the people, these are the next generation in a lot of cases coming up and doing damage to your movement. Why aren't you stopping this? I mean, I could go into Clinton and a few other things, but seriously, look at what the next generation is doing, and if you think that's right, yeah, I have no use for you. Neff, go for it.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest lies that feminists have told us is that they are ever-present, omnipresent. They are the majority. And yet, when surveyed, they are less than 20% of the population. Now, some people think, well, 20% is quite a bit. More people believe that aliens have visited Earth than actually are feminism. Feminists are a small, tiny, minuscule, infinitesimal portion of the population. And speaking of small infinitesimals, maybe we should talk about Ant-Man.
Oh, nice segue. We did bring this up a few shows back. You know, this article's talking about Dr. Hank Pym, the man who created Ant-Man. But what you find out just by looking into the trailer is it's not Hank Pym. It's actually oh god, I forgot his name. But it's actually the current Ant-Man who has a daughter. He was a criminal, and he's trying to do right. I mean, he's trying to better himself. I honestly, I don't know what to think about the trailer beyond, this is actually a positive when it comes to men, in my opinion.
Can you tell me more about this trailer? Because I did not get a chance to see it.
Basically, it's really dark. It's a very dark. It seems to be a very dark movie with some humor from the main character, but it basically starts with somebody coming to the guy who's going to take up the mantle of Ant-Man and saying, you want to do good. You want to be a hero to your daughter. You want to show her you're turning your life around. Here's your chance. And I think that's a great message for men, because at any point in your life you can take that step and improve your life. I mean, I understand, if you got a record, you've got a harder time getting employed and whatnot. I fully understand this, but that doesn't mean that you can't turn your life around and make something better with your life.
It doesn't mean you can't become a superhero.
Well, if you're smart enough, maybe you can. I don't know. I mean, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
But yeah, it shows that men really do have the capacity for good. If you put us in the right if you put men in the right situations, we are. I'm not even going to just say men. I'm going to say human beings. You put human beings in situations, oftentimes you'll see them step up and become something great.
Most of the time, you'll see them just get probed.
Yeah, especially when Nephinor's around. But yeah, I highly recommend you check it out, Dean, especially if we take a music break. But yeah, Ant-Man, it's this version of Ant-Man is about, acknowledging the past, that maybe you've done something bad, and working for something better. At least that's my take on it. Somebody else?
Well, I guess all I could say is I remember Ant-Man, but I haven't read anything involving Ant-Man that was written post the 1970s. So I'm fascinated. And
Well,
I have an interesting prediction.
The 1970s Ant-Man, that's Dr. Henry Pym. And yes,
Right? Hank
back
Pym.
then Hank Pym, he did beat Janet Van Dyne, his wife. He did make a lot of mistakes, but I think that's part of where the Marvel gets its popularity, is that its heroes aren't perfect. They're very relatable. They're very they're human, for lack of a better way of for lack of a better way of saying it. They are just human. They have their failings, they have their problems, but who doesn't?
I do find this interesting. I mean, if you look, this is just a general observation. I think Ant-Man probably has a lot of potential, because in the same way that Iron Man does, I know maybe if you're an old school Iron Man fan, you're going to disagree with me, but Iron Man was never that popular a hero. Which is why he was big in the Avengers. The Avengers originally as a comic were set together basically for most of Marvel's second tier characters to kind of get them all together in one place. Iron Man never sold that well, and so when they made a movie about him, they were able to be very creative, because fandom there's not that big a bunch of, it's unlike Superman, which you can only fuck with so much, right? Or Spider-Man, who you can only fuck with so much. They can be very creatively very free with something like Ant-Man. So this could be a really interesting movie. They're not going to feel at all bound to stick to that much canon, because there isn't that much canon to begin with. It's not like you go to comic conventions and see the Ant-Man fan brigades. You just don't. And that's actually a plus, I think. It would be a plus for whoever the creators of the movie. They're going to have wide latitude to do what they want without anybody screaming that they fucked it up.
I will make.
They could still
minor...
fuck up, but go ahead. Yeah.
I will make one correction on you, Dean. There, Iron Man wasn't that popular with the general comic collectors, but it was popular with women, and this is something they talked about in one of the behind the scenes for the actual movie. The women were constantly writing into Marvel saying how they wanted to redeem Tony Stark.
Really?
Yes. He was very popular with women who wanted to make him into a good man. So
the women who like projects, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's the kind of thing that's actually kind of interesting if you look at it, because who did they pick? Someone who was pretty much broken for an actor.
Oh, that's interesting. Although, you know, if you really look hard at it, Robert Downey Jr., whom I'm a massive fan of, that portrayal of Tony Stark is not very faithful to the comic. But nobody cared that much because A, it was great, and it's B, like, nobody I know, even Iron Man fans, sat there and said, that's not the real way Tony Stark would be. Everybody was like, no, this is cool. He made Iron Man very cool.
I disagree there.
Oh, really?
Dean,
you got mad?
Well, no, I didn't get mad. I think it was fairly faithful to Tony Stark. But you also have to remember, I know of Tony Stark from back in the 70s. I've followed Marvel Comics well into current age. And Tony Stark is a human being. He has his failings.
But he's never been the wisecracking, arrogant cocksucker.
Oh, no. He's been very much the arrogant
arrogant, yes, but more like in a James Bond cool way than I don't know.
Yeah, he hasn't so much had the wisecracking. He does occasionally come up with a quip or two, but for the most part, you know, that's kind of more down low than anything else. But yeah, he's always been the arrogant ass. And if you watch him in the Avengers, what's the first thing he does when he lands on his platform? He goes and he fixes himself a drink. Not something I would recommend if you're going to drink and fly. Yeah. But, you know, that is faithful to the character. Tony Stark was, in the 80s, very much an alcoholic.
Yes, that I remember very much so.
And that's one thing I think they fucked up with in Iron Man 3, which they kind of took from a couple of different sources. You know, when he went through those stories in the comic books, he was just, you know, downing booze to try and get through it.
Oh, yeah. In Iron Man 3, they did not do the... As a recovered alcoholic myself, I'll tell you, they did not portray alcoholism very well at all in Iron Man 3.
No.
That was a disappointing movie.
Yeah, I think it would... But, you know, people are afraid to touch on these types of subjects. I think it does a disservice to the character. It does a disservice to the fans in how they portrayed Iron Man 3. But at the same time, I think... You know, they were fairly faithful to Tony Stark and Iron Man in the first two, and even to some extent the Avengers, in that they showed the human side of the man. They showed that, you know, he's got his failings, but he's striving to do better, which I think is most of humanity. It's the story of humanity.
Yeah. I agree with all that. I think maybe we should take a music break here, but I will just say my only point was people might look and go, Ant-Man, why would you make an Ant-Man movie? And I think my only point is he's not that well-known a character. That actually gives them more room to explore the character.
Well, I have a couple of points on why you'd make an Ant-Man movie, but I will bring that up after the break. Hey, James, can you hit it for us?
And welcome back. We are back we are back to Tales from the Infrared. And in our final hour, I'm going to kick it off. We're going to talk about Agent Carter. Agent Carter's feminism is more about making money than gender equality. Who wants to start us off?
Wait. You're telling me feminism isn't about actual equality, it's about money? Please, say it ain't so.
Well, I didn't want to touch that. But yeah, if you look into the domestic violence industry, it is about making money because, this domestic violence could have ended long ago if they'd actually gone with research and tried to fix it that way. But, I'm not going to touch that for now. With Agent Carter, it literally is pandering to feminists. It's, okay, yeah, we know there was sexism in the 1940s, but, a lot of the times it's so in your face, and oftentimes she just, she deals with it with a quip. And I think a lot of people, that's generally how they deal with it. But if you look at the facial expressions on Haley Atwell, it's like, oh my God, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of all this and all this sexist, misogynistic bullshit. The problem with it is, if you look back, back then it kind of was the attitude in the 1940s. And yes, I can understand how people would get sick of things like that. But at the same time, how much of feminism is actually doing anything and how much of it is complaining? And a lot of the times all I see is complaints about almost nothing. Dean, you got something? Dean?
Hey, Dean.
My apologies. I was muted.
Dang.
I was muted. Hello.
Danger zone.
We're talking about Agent Carter here, right? I can't decide whether I want to watch this or not, so somebody's going to have to tell me whether I should. When I hear this show is mostly about the supposed sexism of the 1940s, and I hear Jim saying, yes, well, it was that way, I'm sorry. I knew my grandmother and my great-grandmother who actually served during World War II, and these were not oppressed, put upon, delicate ladies. So I have to question any historical narrative which says that women were just routinely thrown under the bus and treated like chattel and treated like they were inferiors back then. There were certain things that it was assumed they shouldn't do or you wouldn't want them to do, but that was something women themselves tended to agree with. Again, my grandmother and my great-grandmother, in fact, my great-grandmother dated a general. I knew these women. They were powerful adults who you did not fuck around with, especially my great-grandmother. Everybody in the family was terrified of that woman, not because she was abusive, but if you got on her wrong side, you really didn't want to be there because she had a tongue on her. So what are they portraying in this show about the treatment of women? Is it really accurate to the way women were treated in the 40s? I've got my doubts. Tell me more about it,
Well, I will have to agree with you, Dean. I've got my doubts as to how faithful it was with how they were treated in the 40s. But at the same time, is it such a stretch to sit there and think that there weren't women getting... I don't even know. I mean, I'm starting to wonder myself just based upon what I've seen, and I've dealt with some strong females that are of an older generation, and yes, a lot of these women had a tongue on them that would cut deeper than a rapier into soft tissue. Literally, it kind of makes me wonder how much the feminists have their history correct, but at the same time, I can also see guys making those comments because even today, you still hear older gentlemen making pretty much similar comments but again, like Dean said, there were occupations that women didn't step into because they really didn't want to. And I see that today in that women are going into more social work. But I can also say I can see that there were some blockages in the past.
Sure. Although I'll go ahead and even whip out something that Warren Farrell, in fact, did a study of what we know about wage data from prior to the second wave feminism, so in the 1950s at least, which is close enough. And he found out what data was available prior to the 1960s, going back into the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Unmarried women who never had children tended to slightly out-earn their male counterparts in the same field. And there were very few fields they were barred from. They were almost always very dangerous fields. So I don't know.
Wait, Dean, you're saying,
yeah?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even there, the gender wage gap is bullshit. Women who chose not to become moms and wives tended to do slightly economically better than their male peers prior to the 1960s. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just, but this is all coming out my ass because I haven't seen this show.
I will also point to something that I've seen. There were judges back in the very early 1900s, like 1910, that were female.
Oh, yeah.
And this was before feminism.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm sitting there. It does call into question in my mind as to how legitimate these claims really are. But at the same time, I can see that, the sexual comments and whatnot. And, sometimes a sexual comment could be, unwelcome. But you know what? My thought on that, and I think a large portion of people's thoughts on that, especially nowadays, is no thank you. It's that simple.
I do have one friend who's a male feminist with a daughter, and they're both in love with the show, which I don't know if that means I should be giving it a chance or just staying further away. I don't know. I'll probably need to look at least at an episode or two.
I would recommend check out the first 2. I usually give things 6 episodes before I give it a total thumbs up, thumbs down, stop watching it or continue watching it.
What other shows do we have to talk about?
Gotham.
Yeah, baby.
No.
Gotham.
Librarians.
What?
Librarians.
Librarians? I never heard of Librarians.
Oh, the Librarians? Actually, it's pretty good. I mean, one episode, they even had Bruce Campbell as Santa Claus.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's not on the list, but tell us what the hell is the Librarians? Are you making this up? Is there such a show?
No, I am quite serious. It is on TNT. Basically, the concept is okay, have you seen Warehouse 13?
Yes, which I had mixed reactions to, but yes.
Warehouse 13 concept of, finding things and bringing them into somewhere safe, but in this case, it's purely magic-based. Everything is based on magic. Everything is magical. It ties in a lot of King Arthur mythology. Specifically in the first episode, the guy's fighting with Excalibur, which apparently can fight itself. And there's also Matt Frewer's in it as one of the main characters. It's actually pretty good because they do a lot of stuff on things in terms of Arthurian legend that most people don't even realize. That is kind of very hidden or very not too known about it, and they make it really fun. It's actually a really fun series.
Well, the Librarians.
Librarians.
Right. Is it the Librarians or just Librarians?
The Librarians. In fact, every episode they kind of do, they show the Librarians and then the City of Light or something like that. That's how they do their episode names.
Okay, then. Well, I may just have to check it out.
Yeah, they've actually just finished up the first season, too.
All right. May want to check it out. Christian, what was it you wanted to say you wanted to talk about?
Black Mirror. To be honest, Black Mirror, because you mentioned it last episode.
Yep.
And I sat down and I watched all 6 episodes. I still have not seen the Christmas special yet.
Oof, Christmas
but
special.
I've seen.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I have seen the 6, I guess, regular episodes from season 1 and 2. And I gotta say, I'm a fan. I like their formula. It's very like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits-esque.
Yep.
Every single episode is its own self-contained story. There's no overall universe. There's no reoccurring characters. And it
You
just
sold me at Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it's a good homage. It's a great callback to the early days of like hard sci-fi.
Yes, exactly. This is what I said on the last show when I browbeat you all. Now, hopefully, Christian will join me in the browbeating. You must go check out Black Mirror. It's only 6 episodes. It's only 6 episodes, for fuck's sake. Well, plus the Christmas special.
You must. And there's actually one part in episode 2 of season 1. There's a character in that episode called Bing, and he has a speech at the end, and
oh yeah, that's the one basically where he becomes what amounts to a YouTube celebrity.
Yeah, where in the end, like he makes so many amazing points, and it's a great commentary on modern pop culture. Mm-hmm. But in the end, he sells out anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
He sells out anyways, and I want to read the speech, just because like I don't know, it's amazing.
Okay.
So it goes like this, and I quote: "I haven't got a speech. I didn't plan words. I didn't even try to. I just knew I had to get here, to stand here, and I knew I wanted you to listen, to really listen, not just pull a face like you're listening, like you do the rest of the time, a face that you're feeling instead of processing. You pull a face and poke it towards the stage, and we la-dee-da, we sing and dance and tumble around, and all you see up here, it's not people. You don't see people up here. It's all fodder. And the faker the fodder, the more you love it, because fake fodder is the only thing that works anymore. Fake fodder is all we can stomach. Actually, not quite all. Real pain, real viciousness, that we can take. Yeah, stick a fat man up a pole and we laugh ourselves feral because we earn the right. We've done cell time and he's slacking, the scum. So ha 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 at him, because we're so out of our minds with desperation we don't know any better. All we know is a fake fodder and buying shit. That's how we speak to each other. How we express ourselves is buying shit. What, I have a dream? The peak of our dreams is a new app for our Doppel. And of course the Doppel is like the iPhone, whatever. It doesn't exist. It's not even there. We buy shit that's not even there. Show us something real and free and beautiful. You couldn't. Yeah, it'll break us. We're too numb for it. I might as well choke. There's only so much wonder we can bear. That's why when you find any wonder whatsoever, you dole it out in meager portions. And only then until it's augmented and packaged and plumbed through 10,000 pre-assigned filters till it's nothing more than a meaningless series of lights while we ride day in and day out. Going where? Powering what? All tiny cells and tiny screens and bigger cells and bigger screens, and fuck you. Fuck you. That's what it boils down to. It's fuck you. Fuck you for sitting there and slowly making things worse. Fuck you and your spotlight and your sanctimonious faces. Fuck you all for taking the time I ever came close to anything real. Taking one thing I ever came close to anything real that ever meant anything. For oozing around it and crushing it into a bone, into a joke. One more ugly joke in a kingdom of millions. Fuck you for happening. Fuck you for me, for us, for everyone. Fuck you."
And this is set in a universe where there's a sort of presumption that it's no longer really a resource-based economy because machines can pretty much do everything. So human beings pretty much have nothing left to do but exercise and entertain themselves and entertain each other. And it's a semi-dystopian future where basically the Earth is some kind of combination between YouTube and Xbox Live.
What do you mean? What do you mean semi-dystopian future? That's current day.
Well, it's getting there.
Here's the thing, when Bing is giving out this speech, he's on a stage on what resembles something like America's Got Talent or the X Factor or The Voice, and he's and it's this like talent show where people come on and they compete to see if they can get shows on these judges' channels. Because each of the judge have their own channels, and the reason why he's so pissed off, and the reason why the entire time he's giving this speech, by the way, he has a broken piece of glass to his own throat, like he's gonna slice his own throat. if they don't let him say his piece. And the reason why he's so pissed off is because before he auditioned for Hotspot, what they call it, he met a girl that had...
Don't give it all away.
I'm not going to give it up, but she had a rare gift, and she was a really good singer and very beautiful. And these judges, instead of letting her go on a channel where she could sing because she's a good singer, the guy who owned the porn channel turned her into a porn star.
You just gave it away. I told you not to.
Well,
give it up there, Christian. Give it up.
Fuck you. Okay? And this is why I think this speech is such a great commentary on current day media pulp culture, because that is what we do. We take something that is actually real and beautiful and heartfelt and from the heart, and we turn it into something that's packaged and sold.
And then he winds up selling out anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else to do, apparently. The show is full of that sort of thing, and it very much call back to the old Twilight Zone, which means you set up a premise, and then you see where that premise takes you. And they almost all have surprise twist endings. Actually, I guess you could say they all have surprise twist endings. At least one of them is almost like an M. Night Shyamalan one, the one called White Bear. I was positive I knew what was going on, and then the ending hit, and I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming at all. I didn't see it coming at all.
Here's something I want to ask, Dean. Even though you didn't see it coming, did you at least afterwards say, okay, I can see that as happening?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I did, and that's why I found it actually creepy. Part of me said, no, people wouldn't really do that. People aren't really that horrible. And then I thought, well, yeah, they can be. So I won't say more, but it was a really good episode. It was one of the few that actually creeps me out still when I think about it. It also reminds me of certain nightmares I've had, so that was another reason I liked it so much. I actually once had a nightmare very much like the ending of that.
I think you should save that for the couch with Dr. Tara Palmatier.
I think we all have that one.
Huh?
We all have that one piece of media that just surprised the hell of us at the end, because there are so many things that I personally watch, and I sort of guess like where it's going. But there's like always that one movie or that one show or something that just, you're like, wow. And for me, the thing that always got me was there's a movie out there, and I suggest it to everybody, which is called Perfume, Story of a Murderer. Has one of the most interesting twist endings I've ever seen. Never in a million years would I have ever expected that ending. Just...
Okay. I'm going to look it up, see if it's on Netflix, because that's where I look all my shit. And I'll also say again, Black Mirror is on Netflix streaming right now. There's only 6 episodes, and that's, there's a 7th that was made as a Christmas special, which they haven't got up on Netflix yet. But, I mean, each episode's only between 45 minutes and an hour, and there's only 6. And they only make 3 a year. So it's not like this is a huge time commitment, guys. So now I'm even guilting you more. Go watch Black Mirror. It's fucking cool.
Yes, go.
Yeah, quit trying to guilt me, motherfucker.
There's another episode about a cartoon, Blue Bear.
That one I really liked.
Oh, that amazing fucking episode, and it's a commentary on modern politics and how politicians, they're people who don't do jack shit except manage the status quo. And of course, you could try and fight against it, but in the end, it doesn't fucking matter because somebody's always going to be there just to manage the status quo.
Yep. You think it's a big thing that's going to be challenging? Well, yeah, that's a great episode. In fact, I could talk for an hour about just that one episode. So it's really good. But the bottom line is, although the plausibility factor varies a little bit, everything you see in Black Mirror, you go, that really could happen. All of it. That really could happen. All of it. There's no going, that could never happen. No, this could all be happening with technology that we'll see in our lifetimes. The one I really like too is, which Robert Downey Jr. optioned for a movie, was the one where I won't give away the plot, but it was just an advanced version of what amounts to Google Glass. People are just having implants put in their brains and eyes so that they can record everything they do 24/7. Everything they do, see, and hear 24/7. And of course, it's kept private, in private storage that someone's not supposed to be able to get into. But it shows the bad things of what could happen from something like that. And again, I won't tell you why, but boy, that poor guy was just crushed in the end, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Just crushed. And again, I didn't see that ending coming. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So there you go.
Yeah. Go watch Black Mirror. Not just you guys here. Everybody listening, the audience, everybody who's listening, go watch Black Mirror. It's on it's on Netflix, but it's only on the U.S. store. I didn't find it on the Canadian store. I had to do some DNS trick on my PlayStation 4 to be able to access the American Netflix library, so I could watch it there. But go watch it. If you're in the States, it's on Netflix. If you're not,
move to the States. No.
Or you could do a DNS trick on, like, if you're watching on an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 or whatever. You could sort of trick Netflix into thinking you're in the States. Yeah, it's essentially a proxy.
Here's the thing. I really hate when you guys talk about something that I have no clue what you're talking about, because it just makes me want to find out, which is exactly what you guys did to me with Game of Thrones. Bastards.
There you go. Yeah, this is nowhere near the time investment. This is nowhere near the time.
Yeah, this is really short. I mean, you could bump this out in like one afternoon and like one evening. Like, you could start watching it at noon and you'll be finished by like 5 or 6.
And what I really just dug about it is it like I said, I grew up reading good science fiction like Ray Bradbury and Heinlein and stuff. And good science fiction isn't just fun; it makes you think. It makes you uncomfortable because it makes you think. It makes you go, that could happen. Huh. That could really happen. That would be weird. That would be disturbing. That could be really cool or really awful. But good. It makes you think. And that's what every episode of Black Mirror does.
I think that's what every good science fiction story has ever done. Because I grew up on a lot of science fiction. And, even... I will even say, I don't know, the Gore series you might call fantasy, you might call science fiction, but yeah, it literally is. You could see it. I mean, given certain circumstances, you could see this happening. And I think those are the best stories that make you think at the end and say, huh, I can see that.
Yeah. Well, and most Hollywood science fiction isn't like that. I mean, somewhat, I guess, but it's not that realistic. Like, as much as I love the Aliens movie, I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to see that in my lifetime. And there's certain implausibilities there. Much as I love the Avengers, none of that shit's going to happen, right? Well, maybe someone will have the flying suit of armor. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Thor ain't going to show up with his magic hammer. Yeah. And Star Wars is more
Thor has shown up with his magic hammer.
Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, no, this is old school, non-fantasy based. All of this could happen. Every bit of this could happen. Within the next 20 years, all of it could happen. So there you go.
So
it's awesome.
I think it's time we moved towards Gotham.
Gotham. I read some source. Actually, we read out from this source last week, but I hadn't read the article. And this source last week that we read from talked about Gotham and panned it as one of the worst things in geekdom in 2014. And so now I want to go find whoever wrote that. And now I want to find whoever wrote that and beat them to death. This is like the most awesome show in geekdom, like in a while.
Yes. Holy shit. Like, the last couple episodes. Holy shit.
Oh,
I have not seen the last couple of episodes.
I'm 2 episodes behind.
But I will say this.
Shame.
I will watch them today, okay? So shut the fuck up.
Oh,
okay?
Come on. Where's the fun?
Shut the fuck up. Zip. I don't even
Kids,
want
get
your
the
brown
fuck out.
eye winking at me.
So how many episodes are you behind again?
I
I'm
don't know.
two.
Probably about three episodes.
Oh man, you're gonna miss.
Well,
all
wait
the
a minute.
good shit.
Did you see it up? Did you see it up to the midwinter break? Up to the winter
Up,
break.
up to the midwinter break, yes. I
So
saw
you're
So
it.
two
you're only
episodes
2
behind.
episodes behind.
So I'm only 2. I'll watch them today. Shut the fuck up.
Fucking Penguin.
But is somebody
Fucking
actually
Penguin.
saying? Is somebody actually saying that Gotham was like, really?
It was terrible. Yes, it was actually in the
What?
story that we read on the
That was last
one.
episode.
What,
Yeah,
how can anybody complain about a show that is fleshing out the origin story of one of the world's most beloved superheroes?
The only explanation I can think of is that they wanted it to be Batman and they wanted it to be action. And it is not Batman, and there's not much. There is action, but basically
No,
there's
because
a lot
it's
of
not.
action.
Bruce Wayne is not the main character of
he's not.
Gotham. He's not the main character. It's not. It's about the origins of Bruce Wayne and how he lost his parents and his journey from a child to adulthood, learning how to fight. But the main character is actually Jim Gordon and how he started off as a detective fighting against the corruption, losing horribly but still winning some battles here and there. Jim Gordon, it's a detective story, and guess what? I'm sorry, guys, but Batman started off as a detective comic.
I will partially disagree with you, Christian.
Of course
And-
you would, because
hold
you're
on.
a dick.
Oh, suck mine. Anyway, getting back to what I will partially disagree with. I will not disagree with that it's a detective story. I will not disagree that it is about Jim Gordon. I will disagree that the main character is Jim Gordon. I would say that the main
All
character,
right, the main character is the city
itself.
of Gotham. Okay, yeah, it's
Yes.
the city of Gotham. But it still stands that you would disagree with Stephen Hawking about physics, so.
Oh, suck a dick. But getting back to what I'm saying, the main story is Gotham itself. It is about Gotham, the goings-on, the stuff behind the scenes that creates the problems not only for Jim Gordon, but the citizens of Gotham itself. And I think that is part of what makes it so intriguing. Yes, I mean, maybe the person is expecting Batman and action. No, this is about what creates Batman. This is about what creates the villains. This is about what creates the surroundings and the environment that could make this happen. And I think that is why it really is the best show for geekdom that has come out in a long time. Dean, you're up.
I couldn't agree more, and I guess the caveat would be is if what you're wanting is action, all right, you're not going to get that. This is more about organized crime. This is a little bit more about this is a little organized crime. There's a little bit of police procedure. This is this is more drama than it is action. Although there is some action, but it's beautiful. The rendering of the city of Gotham is beautiful. The characters are all very interesting characters and very well drawn. And Rachel called it out earlier. High five if you agree, Rach. The Penguin is just fucking awesome.
Holy shit, Penguin! The last couple episodes, it's like he even managed. I mean, okay, he even got knocked out for a bit and still came out on top. It was just
Well, here's the thing. As a character, I've always found the Penguin uninteresting, or at least very hard to find interesting. Mm-hmm. The Oswald Cobblepot in Gotham is very interesting to me because it's a much more realistic take on the Penguin. And he's very sinister, and he's like, we are seeing the makings of a true criminal mastermind in Gotham's Oswald Cobblepot. And I find that incredibly interesting. Because he's smarter than he lets on. He's a lot smarter than he looks. He knows the game. He knows the ins and outs. And he's going to... Well, he's obviously going to take over because eventually the Penguin does become a superpower in the world of Gotham's organized crime.
Yes,
but we're seeing how he rose or how he's rising to that.
In fact, what you see, because he's obviously in his early 20s, right? And basically what you're seeing there is the makings of a criminal genius, which is the only way you can do the Penguin and actually believe he could be real. And maybe that's part of it for me too. Every portrayal, at least in movies and TV that I've seen of the Penguin, is he just can't be real. Like Danny DeVito's portrayal, for example, in the second Batman film.
Returns.
Yeah, was compelling, but this is never going to happen. This is not real life-ish. I could totally see this guy. I mean, even the way they made up how he got his nickname from the funny way he walks. I can totally see him as a criminal genius and a criminal mastermind. I can completely see it. And I love how he is such a fucking weasel. Just a total suck-up, brown-nosed weasel, yet he knows what he's doing at all times. It's great. I don't know what that actor's name is, but I want to shake his hand.
I want to point out that, I think the Gotham premise comes mainly from Nolan's Batman Begins, Dark Knight movies, in that the premise starts off, how do we make this completely believable? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the only reason it is so phenomenal, is they're making it completely believable. You could actually see somewhere in the U.S. this happening at some point. I mean, if you look at organized crime back in the 40s with Chicago and New York, you can see some parallels to that. If you look at some of the corruption in police departments, again, you see parallels to this. And it's all the parallels you could see that possibly could happen. That's what makes it so interesting, because you're just literally drawn in and are like, oh my God, do I live in Gotham?
Yeah, exactly. I could actually see moving there and then regretting it. But yeah.
Like, hey, we had a nice view of the park, and now everything's
and the muggings that are happening there.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
It's beautifully shot too. If you want to see it in HD, if you can, it's like every frame. I know, because I freeze framed it a few times to just look and go, Christ, can I get that on a poster, please? And it's just two people sitting in a limo talking to each other, just with this wonderful background of the city, and it's like, damn, this is beautiful. Whoever those cinematographers are, like, total hats off to them. They and the set designers and the cinematographers, way mad props, guys. Gotham
Especially
City,
the set designers.
Yes, it is gorgeous. It is and the lighters. I mean, because it all goes into it, right? The way they light it, the way they costume people, the way they design the set, and the way the camera angles are done. It's just gorgeous. I mean, just from if you have a photographer's eye, you could actually just be like stopping and freeze framing the average episode 20 or 30 times and just have a great, memorable snapshot, because it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous, in my opinion.
I agree. And here's the funny thing about it is, I mean, I'm not going to give away too much because Christian is behind. Shame on you.
So am I.
You've lost major geek cred.
Yeah,
because cred lost.
Because when the villain of at least I think it was like last episode or the one before that, can't remember. It's been anyway. It sort of all runs together because it's all connected. But the thing about it is that the way that the villain is finally dispatched is so realistic and just so telling about everything there. It's like,
oh yeah,
because here they were thinking, oh shit, this is bad, this is really really bad, and then suddenly, yoink.
Yoink. That was funny as hell, and we're not giving it. Yeah, the big villain in the last 2 episodes gets taken down by a really very mundane weapon. It's very funny. It's very funny.
It was beautiful. I mean, you're like, yeah, and the truth of the matter is you could do that, and it's the one thing that everybody else didn't think of. It's like,
Right.
It's just they're like you had one job, supervillain, one job.
That's right. One job. Didn't prep for it, did you? No, weren't thinking this through, were you?
Oh,
so, everybody, come on! If you haven't checked out Gotham, please check it out. The acting is great. The actor who plays Penguin, by the way, who is totally my favorite of the series. He's my favorite character. My favorite. His name is Robin Lord Taylor. And no, it's not because he's got a lordship. His parents just gave him the middle name Lord, apparently. But he's actually been in Walking Dead too. It turns out. I don't know what he was, but he probably died. So he was in 2 episodes as a character named Sam. I'm just looking at the entry on him now. Literally no memory except in real life. He's it looks like he's a redhead.
Really?
Yeah, they gave him that black hair for the show.
Damn soulless gingers.
The only character I'm not sure I like yet is he eventually becomes the Riddler.
Edward Nygma.
Edward Nygma. Yeah, I'm like, not buying it. Not buying it.
I'm starting to see it a little bit though, where he's getting a little more frustrated in his inability to interact properly with other people and make meaningful connections.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can see that eventually escalating.
I can see that. Yeah.
I mean, all it's going to take is just like one little thing or a series of things.
He's one lab accident away from becoming a supervillain.
Yeah, but then again, so is everybody. Everybody is like one lab accident away from being a superhero or a supervillain these days.
I'm very impressed with what the hell is her name? Will Smith's wife, who plays Fish.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really cool. Although in the last episode, I'm tempted to just kind of trample over you guys and spoil it, but we can save it for next one. In the last episode, she did something I considered massively stupid. I thought it was beyond stupid.
Well, okay.
And she deserved what she got because it was beyond stupid.
Dean?
Yeah.
I can actually explain it away through human psychology. You know, when people get frustrated, they make mistakes. And they do stupid shit. It's how often do you see this? If she's getting frustrated and she's getting...
I will tell you that she makes a plan to become the big crime boss, take out her crime boss, and become the kingpin of Gotham. But her plan is dumb plan.
We
her
know
plan
that...
is a dumb plan. In fact, at this moment, she has no... while she's still alive... After the plan unravels, which it was going to, I mean, as soon as I saw what the plan was, I'm like, "There's no way this will work." By all rights, she should have gotten 5 bullets to the head by the end of that episode.
Well, no. Here's the thing, though. We know that Fish Mooney doesn't really go as much further than where she already is. I mean,
well, if she's this stupid, she doesn't deserve it.
We know, like, anybody who's read the comics or seen any of the movies. Fish Mooney was never really that big of a player to begin with. Once Maroni's gone, once Falcone's gone, it's pretty much Cobblepot.
Well, and if she makes a move this dumb, I can see that she's gonna be lucky to survive. And
I mean, her character in Gotham, like, we already know she's going to fail.
Yeah, well, she fails in this last episode, and there's no coming back from it unless she manages to put together an army, and I just don't see that happening. So,
well, that's the thing is, I mean, you can see. I've seen a lot of female psychology. When women get frustrated, they tend to make more mistakes than men. Not all cases.
This is a really elaborate plan that she's been building up since the beginning.
Well, yeah, but a lot of plans that I've sat there and I've looked at the difference between plans men make versus plans women make when it comes to strategy. Women tend to go for the more elaborate.
Okay.
Men
this
tend
is
to
elaborate.
go for the more stable, and the more we can change it a little bit on the fly. You know, there's an old saying when it comes to military tactics, it's no plan survives first contact with the enemy.
Right.
If you look at it, would you say that she was going for one that, you know, it depended upon everything just pretty much lining up just right for it to succeed?
Yes.
Then that's exactly the way a woman would plan. So they did her character justice. But you know, sadly it's more a failing in the person than it is in the writing of the story. In my
had she set things up differently so that I mean, she could have she creates an advantage for herself that she could have milked for years to come up with a better plan.
But it was her ego that got in the way.
And her ego made her decide to basically, all right, I'm all in right now. When she had a very weak, she had a very weak hand at that moment. That's all I'm saying.
Here's the thing: like Fish Mooney is not very patient. You know, as a person, she's not patient. I mean, she's sick and tired of waiting and being Falcone's pretty much, you know,
stooge. Yeah,
stooge. Yeah. And she's sick of it. She wants to take out Falcone and run.
Well, in this case, maybe you'll defend her or the writing here, but I was actually pissed. I'm like, you can't be this stupid. As soon as the plan was revealed of what she was actually going to do with this little advantage she had, I'm like, there is no way this works.
Well, like I said,
there's no way this works.
It's just thinking into it just a little bit and going with human psychology. And I think the writing works, but there's no way the plan was going to work.
I like the foreshadowing, though. At the beginning of the episode, you know, somebody dies, and at the end, someone dies, and exactly under the exact same circumstances. Not the exact same way, mind you, but under the exact same circumstances. And you understand that was to show you the nature of Falcone and how, you know, what he has to do to survive, and that he is a survivor. He isn't just this old guy who got there and, you know, maybe inherited or something. He made himself, and he has done a lot of things, and he's willing to do a lot more to keep his position and keep his empire. And, you know, sometimes you just gotta choke a bitch.
Well, moving on so that Nephinor can unmute, and if somebody can tell him he could unmute. Let's move on to Walking Dead, and let's talk about The Walking Dead for the last 10 minutes of the show before we go into final thoughts. I looked it up. He plays the character of Sam. It's actually just a random survivor. It was in one of the final episodes of Season 4 and the first episode of Season 5. He was actually the first guy to get his head chopped off at the trough.
What's that now? What are you saying?
The guy who plays Oswald Cobblepot in Gotham, he played the character he played in Walking Dead, Sam. Just a random sort of throwaway survivor. He was in the very last, or one of the very last episodes of Season 4, and in the first episode of Season 5, he was the first guy to get his head chopped off by the cannibals at Terminus. So.
Oh, I see. So it was very short. Well, in any case, I mean, we've got our next episode of Tales from the Infrared will be like 2 days before the season premiere or the mid-season premiere. So we got almost 3 weeks to go before. When is the next episode of
predictions?
2 weeks.
When does it? It returns in February. What's the date? I believe it's going to be February.
I thought 8th? It was February 10th.
That sounds more like it.
Our next episode is February 7th. So predictions.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably make more on that show, but
and I believe we'll have a special guest for that, won't we?
Will we?
I don't know. We might have Paul Elam on if he's interested in talking about Walking Dead. I'm
Oh
pretty
yeah,
sure it will
Paul.
be.
Paul loves talking about Walking Dead, and so he will want to be on that show. Yes, he will indeed. So that's about a 90% go. Somebody refresh my memory. What happened on the very last episode of Walking Dead?
Beth died.
Oh, Beth died.
Last
That's right.
time
Beth
on
died.
Walking Dead.
Beth's dead.
I don't know. I would
So I have 2 weeks to catch up on Walking Dead. Got it.
Actually, yes, you do.
And the more I think about it, though, the more I realize that like Beth wasn't really that useful of a character. She was more or less just another mouth to feed. They did try to make her a little bit more badass, but in that sort of like sneaky sort of mouse kind of way. Like she was just a little mouse that was.
She was a
little
rogue.
sneaky. Yeah. But I mean, for the most part, her character was like kind of useless anyway. So I mean, I'm not really too torn up about her dying.
Here is my prediction. Before the season is out, they will, in fact, wind up in Washington, D.C. That's my prediction. Even though they have discovered there's no particular reason to go there because what's his name's a stinking liar. And
Eugene.
he's not a science. Eugene is a stinking liar. They will wind up in Washington, D.C. anyway. And we'll see what's going on in D.C. Now, that is an unfair prediction for me to make. And you know why?
You read it in the comics.
Yes, I did. Because for Christmas, I got the Walking Dead Compendiums Volume 1 and 2, which I think, I don't know how it corresponds with the issues, but brings me up very close to where the show is now. Very close. And it's been interesting reading the Walking Dead comics, especially sitting down and just blowing through them over a few days. The comic is very good. I can honestly say that if I had picked up the first 2 or 3 issues, I would not have stuck with it. So I can actually thank the show for making me interested in the comic. The comic is very good. And the compare and contrast between the show and the comic is also fascinating. I guess Christian and I are the only ones who can talk about that.
Well, there are actually quite a few events that in the comic they happen at different times than they do in the show. So I mean, it's there's some differences.
A
comics.
totally different guy gets his leg eaten by the cannibals.
Yeah.
There's that.
There's also another thing. I mean, I want to throw a little shout out to Telltale Games, who's been doing a really good job on their Walking Dead games.
Season 1 was awesome. I'm not a fan of season 2. I think they dropped the ball on season 2. Season 1, they did a very, very good job hooking me in and getting me invested. The game. Okay. Walking Dead, the game.
Oh, come on, man. Zombies are dead.
But yeah, Telltale Games has been doing Walking Dead, the video game, I believe, based upon the show. And
actually, no, it's based in the universe, but it's completely different characters. The only characters that were in the game and the show, there's Glenn and there's Herschel.
Okay.
Other than that, no character from the comics or the show appear in the game.
But it's an episodic kind of game.
Yeah. It's sort of like a point and click adventure.
Someone like a kind of like so it's not really like semi RPG like Fallout or something or
no. It's much more simplistic, almost Flash-ish kind of game. But yeah, Telltale Games does a really good job of storytelling. So I think it's worth mentioning that. But then again, I got into Telltale Games due to something else called The Wolf Among Us. So
yeah, well, they also did Tales of Monkey Island, which was pretty good.
Well, I will just say this. If anybody is interested in and never gotten around to checking out the Walking Dead comics, I can give them a firm thumbs up. It won't spoil that much because, well, I mean, the same main writer dude is the same main creator behind the TV series. So when they change stuff, you even know it's not because they're just being arbitrary. It's because the creator, whose name I'm forgetting, he's like
Robert
good with it.
Kirkman.
That's right, Kirkman. He's good with it. He's ultimately the showrunner. He's good with it when they make changes. It is interesting to compare and contrast the characters. Although I haven't seen what Christian has talked about yet in terms of Carl. Carl has not developed into an outright psychotic. On the other hand, what Carl goes through early on is much more traumatizing. I guess you could call this a spoiler, but it's early in the comic series. Remember Shane, who was Rick's best friend? In the comics, it's not Rick who kills Shane. It's Carl. Because Shane is attacking his dad, and Carl shoots Shane. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more traumatic for a kid. But I'm still not, I'm not seeing Carl as turning into a psychotic just yet. He's just a little more weird. Michonne, on the other hand, is
if he gets more of the Walking Dead jokes, he might.
Michonne, totally fucking nuts. I mean, whoa. And the governor couldn't be any different, could he? He's barely recognizable as the same character. Although I have to admit, I like him better in the comics. Because I found him more believable. Because you know what? They established that he's a violent sociopathic fuck from the first time you see him. So, yeah, well, anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
I will say this. It is interesting seeing the differences between comics and, say, TV shows or movies. The comics allow you to do a little bit more, in my opinion, which is why, it's generally more fun to enjoy the comics, in my opinion. But
well, yeah, people can laugh at that if you want, but you can do things in comics that you can't do in television, like internal monologues, and really stop and look, and when a little moment is important,
you can do internal monologues properly.
I mean, there are plenty of like old film noir movies where internal monologues were pulled off fairly well.
Yeah, but you don't see that. You also don't see that in current day films and TV.
And you don't see it much because it's hard to pull off and not seem cheesy. It's hard to do. You can do it. It's just a lot of work. Where it's very easy in the comics medium to do that.
Yeah,
extremely.
I can go back to Blade Runner. They actually did that, and it explained a little bit more. Personally, I'm gonna say something kind of sacrilegious to any Blade Runner fans. I think watching all the different versions, you get a much broader picture of it, so that when you actually finally watch the director's cut, you can see so much more of what's going on. And I think that makes it worth it. Sometimes the internal monologue, while it's not a device that's used, I think it's one that should be brought back a little bit more often, especially in these types of things.
Okay, well I am going to call it there. We are 3 minutes to the closing of the show, so I'm going to call final thoughts. And first, I am going to go to Nephinor. Nephinor, final thoughts.
Well, my final thought is I've just downloaded Constantine, Black Mirror, and working on finishing up Gotham, so yeah.
Excellent. You pirate.
He didn't say he pirated. You can buy that off of Amazon Prime. We never pirate things here, ever.
Yes. Rachel, final thoughts.
Yeah. Final thoughts. Gotham is amazing. Fucking watch it. Damn it. Now.
Dean, final thoughts.
Black Mirror. Anybody on this show who has not watched Black Mirror by next episode, I will do something horrible to you. I just haven't figured out what yet.
I'll pull out your tooth, Dean.
Black Mirror. Shut up.
Jim Calvarn. Jim, final thoughts.
My final thoughts?
King suck, by the way.
Yeah, suck a dick. My final thought, I stand with Lizzie F.
Yes, I think we all do, but I am going to respect her wishes. So, Lizzie, I'm just going to say, we miss you, and we stand with you. And, of course, watch Black Mirror. James, you got final thoughts?
None here.
Okay. So yeah, take the red pill.